That's if you let the enemy decide where to fight. Now, why in the world would we wage this battle in the courts? Disadvantage number one. Disadvantage number one as to why in the world why we absolutely, positively do not want to wage this battle in the courts. But that's what everybody heard all day, right? Oh, we're going to the courts now. We're going to the courts. Only if we are stupid enough to follow you. Only if the citizens of this country are stupid enough to follow you into the courts will we go to the courts. Why do we not go to the courts? Disadvantage number one. The process could take years. Years. What's the old saying? Strike while the iron is hot, right? That's right. Also, how about this? Anybody heard this? Justice delayed is what? Justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. You really want to carry around this burden for an indefinite number of years? You want this on your conscience for the next 3-4 years? This big emotional baggage of, having to suffer under this? How long can you take of that? How long can you take of the enemy being in your mind like that? Can you afford it? Literally, financially, can you afford it? How about America? Can America afford it for the next 3, 4, 5 years? You think so? I don't think so. That's disadvantage number one. It will take an eternity. It will take an eternity. An eternity that this nation does not have. An eternity that you do not have emotionally. Disadvantage number two. Why we do not fight this battle in the courts. Only if we're stupid enough to follow them into the courts. Disadvantage number two. And don't get me wrong. All the lawyers that want to handle this in the courts, hey, knock yourself out. Do what you want to do. All the attorney generals, fine. So be it. Good luck. Good luck. Disadvantage number two. While you're waiting for this to move through the courts, the enemy can strike you again with immigration reform / amnesty for illegals / destroy American culture / destroy American sovereignty / cancel out your vote reform. Because that's next on the agenda is immigration reform. So while you're wasting your time in the courts, hoping and praying that something happens there, they're already attacking you again. How's it feel playing defense? How's it feel constantly being on defense when you are trying to defend your nation against tyranny? How does it feel when you're never given the opportunity to strike back? How does that feel? You're constantly trying to withstand blows from the enemy. Doesn't feel good, does it? Be nice to be on offense every now and then, wouldn't it? Get a chance to score, right? So like I said, disadvantage number two. While you're waiting on this to make its way through the courts, this enemy of America can and will strike again. And this illegitimate government is going to attack the Constitution again and again with cap and trade and again with who knows what else. Who knows what they're coming with next? And the thing is while you're sitting around holding your breath, stressing yourself out, watching your country be destroyed, waiting on a favorable decision, they're attacking this country repeatedly. While you sit around and wait, holding your breath, stressed out, watching your nation go down the drains, hoping for some type of favorable decision. Good luck. Good luck. Disadvantage number three for trying to handle this matter in the courts. A state is suing the federal government in a federal court. A state is suing the federal government in a federal court. It's always fun when you lose a home field advantage, isn't it? Not good. How does that normally turn out? Not positively, I'll tell you that. Not positively. So, did I mention also that the federal courts are chock full of radical, legislating from the bench, activist, anti-American, pro-socialism lunatics? I think I forgot to mention that. Does anybody remember that? Every time you turn around, some nutcase federal judge, like the one in Brooklyn, ruling, oh, you can't defund Acorn. Like she's Congress all of a sudden. She just endowed herself with all the powers of Congress. I determine where money is spent in this country. That's the type of judge you're going to get, folks. Because the federal courts are chock full of these nut jobs. Chock full of them, top to bottom. They come straight out of the university campuses. They're straight out of law school, professors. You see the one on the Drudge Report. The next nutcase they got coming up through the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. These people hate the Constitution. They hate America. They hate freedom and liberty. And I've talked to you about it a million times before. You know the psychology of this enemy. The reason they hate competition is because they suck. Because they cannot compete. It's very simple. It's not complicated. Don't get confused by the issues. There's a reason some people are liberals and some people are conservatives. There's a reason some people are socialists and some people are capitalists. The people that cannot compete are socialists. That's the way this works. It's not complicated. So that's the judge you're going to get when these states' attorneys generals try to file suit against the federal government over this Health Care Act. And that's, it's kind of like going on the Monty Hall show and betting your Constitution on what's behind door number 2. That's basically what you're doing. You're going on the Monty Hall show and you got your Constitution there and you're like, oh, what do you want to bet that for? I'll trade it for what's behind door number 2. You're going to end up with a cow that you can't milk and you can't sell and you can't butcher because it doesn't comply with government regulations. That's what you're going to get when you walk into one of these courts and say, hey, how about, can we get this overturned? Yeah, they're going to overturn it for you, no doubt. I'm sure you'll walk out with a lot better deal than you came in with. No doubt in my mind. Have fun feeding that cow, though. I'll tell you what you are going to continue to feed. You're going to continue to feed this government while it tells you all the things that you must do and all the things that you cannot do. That's why we don't want to go into a federal court to try to handle this issue. How about disadvantage number 4? Disadvantage number 4 of handling this in the courts. And keep in mind, this is all perfectly orchestrated, everybody. Perfectly orchestrated. They are trying to channel our rage in this direction. That's what they're trying to do. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. That's what the Democrats are trying to do. That's what the mainstream media is trying to do. Everybody's directing us. Hey, everybody this way. Everybody this way. We're going to the courts now. Like I said, only if you're stupid enough to follow them. Only if you are stupid enough to follow them. The fix is in. They're trying to get you to cool down over the next 18, 24, 36 months. Calm down. Everything's going to be fine. We're just headed over here to the gallows. Just relax if you would. Everything's going to be just fine. Disadvantage number 4. If we got lucky, if we got real lucky, we might get 1 or 2 provisions of the bill struck down. Maybe a few years from now, maybe 1 or 2 provisions of the bill. You'd have to wait a couple years for that, 3, 4. We'd still have to live with a bulk of the garbage that this illegitimate government has dumped on us. It'd be a hollow victory, like finding out 6 years later that you won gold instead of silver because the real winner just admitted to using steroids. You ever wonder what happens to those Olympic athletes? You know, Marion Jones comes out 6, 8 years later. Oh, yeah, I used steroids. I stripped her of her gold. Nobody ever remembers the second place person. You won't even remember the victory if we even achieve one at